How surprised are you really that the new CEO that was named for Vanguard is somehow friendly to digital assets? Welcome back, everyone. I would say that this was unsurprising for the people who keep up with this channel. You know that I've done a few clips already on Vanguard, right? Explained how essentially their way of investing is very conservative. It's based on John C. Bogle's method of investment, right? He is the person who originally started Vanguard. So it was no surprise, right, that there would be pushback against having a Bitcoin ETF on their part. But then again, I think it was even less surprising that suddenly, after the ETFs turned out to be not a nothing burger, after the ETFs turned out to actually garner a lot of success, well, all of a sudden it seemed Vanguard made a mistake. what a what a shock, right? What a shock. And believe me, when it comes to big investment firms like that, these mistakes are incredibly costly. I mean, we've seen billions of dollars roll into the ETFs, and Vanguard has missed all of it. All of it. Are they maybe changing directions? Let's see. All right, so this tweet from Eric Balkunis. Salim Ramji will be the new Vanguard CEO. He used to head up BlackRock's global ETF business. First time ever Vanguard hired outsider as a CEO. Oh, that's right. Every other one was internal star and former Bogle assistant. Interesting, semi-shock. I got to agree with Eric on this one. Another interesting piece of all of this, and this is a tweet from fellow Bitcoiner Neil Jacobs. So here we go. Effective July 1st, Vanguard is introducing a $100 processing fee for closing an account or transferring assets out of Vanguard to another firm. So he's saying Bitcoiners did this. I can't disagree with that. I think that to a certain extent, it kind of had something to do with that. I think really what it is, I know that somebody would say, "Oh, well, it has to do with the amount of people closing closing their accounts like that. That's why they would do this." Yes, but I also think it's this weird type of entitlement that businesses like this get, right? Where they manage so many people's money. It's like, how dare you leave? Okay, we're going to punish you because we're the best. So I think that that's kind of a little bit more what it's about. It's kind of like another way just to kick you a little bit more if you're trying to leave. Either way, it makes no difference. It really what it is Vanguard, in my eyes, admitting that they were wrong about Bitcoin and they were wrong about the ETFs. Salim Ramji left BlackRock in January to seek a new leadership or entrepreneurial opportunity outside the firm. The move came shortly after the asset manager launched the iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, which Ramji oversaw the filing and logistics for, according to Bloomberg Intelligence senior ETF analyst Eric Balkunis. He has been quoted about his interest in digital assets, although I'm not sure that's going to change Vanguard's stance, but he will be the CEO. So guys, it's not 100% sure that Vanguard is going to offer a Bitcoin ETF necessarily, even though they are about to get a digital asset friendly CEO. The current investor landscape is changing, and that presents opportunities for Vanguard to further its mission of giving people the best chance for investment success, which is more relevant today than at any other time in the firm's 5-decade history. My focus will be to mobilize Vanguard to meet the moment while staying true to that core purpose, remaining the trusted firm that takes a stand for all investors. Nice words, very, very nice words. The reality, though, is that when you are an investor, like, interesting nuance with the wording, right? Well, what is an investor? An investor is essentially a person who has made an educated speculation. Okay, because it is, at the end of the day, regardless of what degree it is some form of speculation. And the only thing that changes from gambling to investing is how much education you have on the topic. That's really all that changes. Everything else is still just speculation. So I do lean towards Vanguard having a Bitcoin ETF, although I will push back and say that if riskier products based on Bitcoin end up entering the market, I would see Vanguard being a little bit more cautious about those. So I think that would just be par for the course. And again, this is a piece where I do believe that Vanguard is kind of not really admitting that they made a mistake with the Bitcoin ETF, but they're kind of admitting it with this piece, right? It's the first time that Vanguard is hiring a CEO from outside the company, which I mentioned earlier. So, Topia. I mean that's what this is, right? So for the people who have followed Warren Buffett or read one of his many books, which I do suggest that people read at least the Warren Buffett Way, because it does explain a lot about his investing. And something that he unveils in that book is the mistake that he made during the dot-com bubble. Now, of course, he didn't outright say, I made a mistake by not investing in dot-com companies. No, what he alluded to was much more the fact that he did not understand how they made money and therefore saw them as too risky, right? Didn't see them as value plays because he couldn't understand how they generate their revenue. And something that I learned a long time ago, actually, I'm pretty sure it is from Warren Buffett, but essentially, or it could have even been John C. Bogle, but essentially, if you can't explain how a company makes money, how a company makes their profit in less than 3 minutes, then you have no business owning their shares. And that kind of, that goes back to the reasons why people like Warren Buffett did not invest in during the dot-com cycle. Now, later on, he spoke to that comment and explained that he didn't understand how they made money, and that's why he didn't invest in it. Now, if we take a look at Vanguard, it's not going to be really different because John C. Bogle was a very conservative investor. Okay, and the reality is that Vanguard, in this case, right, they didn't see a need to have to take what they perceived was an immense risk. And again, this is my opinion. Like, this is just my opinion that, they didn't believe that it was the right thing to do. Now, look, if we fast forward and we take a look at somebody like Warren Buffett today, he invests in Apple. If I'm not mistaken, he also has shares of Google. Anyways, I'm probably wrong about the Google stuff, but definitely he had shares in Apple. But the point is that I believe that Vanguard, because of what they saw with the Bitcoin ETF success, unfortunately, they are not in the same position as Warren Buffett was with Berkshire Hathaway. And this is why I'm bringing these two stories together. I believe that Vanguard has a little bit more pressure and that they have to pivot. They kind of don't have a choice but to dip their toes in the pools of the Bitcoin ETFs. Whereas Berkshire Hathaway, they really didn't. They didn't have there was no reason to. Warren Buffett clearly is able to invest your money better than you can. Clearly, okay? Like, his track record speaks for itself. So the idea that somehow he'd be wrong in what he was doing was just foreign, right? So the reality is that these companies, okay, companies like Vanguard, they have no choice but to pivot and go and get products that the market wants to purchase. Whereas companies like Berkshire Hathaway, they didn't have to do that. All right. He made that mistake. And what people don't realize is that during the dot-com bubble, he got destroyed by all of the market pundits. They were all like, oh, this guy's old, he's washed up, he has no idea what he's doing, he doesn't understand tech. They weren't wrong. They weren't wrong about him not understanding tech. But guess what? It actually worked out in his favor because, as we all know, the dot-com bubble did burst, and a lot of those companies disappeared. So there was a lesson there. And it turned out that Warren Buffett, although he was wrong about the massive gains that there were to be made, he was correct in the idea that these internet companies were completely overvalued. So now we back this all up and come full circle to the Vanguard stuff, right? What does this have to do with Vanguard? Okay, so Vanguard is not in that position. They are not Warren Buffett. John C. Bogle is no longer there, okay? So there isn't this kind of genius investor at the helm. And to me, anyways, like I said before, Vanguard doesn't have a choice. They have to pivot. They essentially, what just happened perception-wise is that Vanguard missed out on hundreds of millions of dollars, whereas the other the other investment firms, they didn't. They made that alpha. The BlackRocks, the Bitwise, Fidelity Investments, all these companies, they all got to win, right? They all got to win. So anyways, guys, look, it doesn't really surprise me. You're going to see a lot of this flip-flopping. When do we think we see a Vanguard ETF? That should be the next question. When do we see this Vanguard Bitcoin ETF? But look, in the end, it's all just hopium. This is the mainstream financial system, essentially playing catch up and making sure that they can provide financial services and products to the normie investors. Anyways, if you were watching this channel, you already saw a lot of the stuff that I did on Vanguard, and you know that this was just a matter of time before they had to pivot. Guys, that's the clip for today. I'll catch you tomorrow.